Welcome all. My name is Dakshish Makwana, and we are right now present about the application of hydraulics and pneumatic in the automation system. And we have a guest of Mr. Paritosh Divasali, which is a manager at technical services at the CIPET. CPET, we all know about that. That is Central Institute of Petrochemical Engineering and Technology, which is formerly known as Central Institute of Plastic Engineering and Technology, which is established around 1968. And the Paritosh sir will be completed this Bachelor of Engineering in the Electrical in the Saurashtra University, and then after he completed his philosophy of the doctor at Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology. So now I transfer to Parido sir to continue the presentation. Sir, you can continue now.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Makwana. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. The topic of hydraulic and pneumatic is and application of hydraulic and pneumatic is targeted today. The purpose of knowing hydraulic and pneumatic is essential to all kind of engineering students. Reason is, as an engineer, we want to basically try to do some work by means of some mechanisms. And when we are doing some work by mechanisms, we need some power. The power may be hydraulic power, power may be pneumatic power, power may be electrical power. So there are various ways of energy availability, and based on that, we can use hydraulics, pneumatics, or any other source of power. Maybe from when you talk about the internal combustion engine, you are using some other source of power. Purpose of hydraulic and pneumatic is very peculiar and significant as far as the application in the engineering field and robotics and other field is concerned. Let us have some example. Before that, one should understand the hydraulic or pneumatic is basically considered as a fluid power. When you talk about a fluid may be in the nature of hydraulics. When we talk about hydraulics, it is oil, water, and oil. And when you talk about the pneumatic, it may be any kind of gaseous things, mainly air, because air is freely available. When we look towards the trend of the hydraulics and the milestone achieved by this field, way back in 1651, Blaise Pascal developed some idea, some concept about the hydraulics. And based on this concept, Mr. Brahma developed the very first hydraulic press in year 1800. Then after the development in the hydraulic things are going on, and today in 2021 we came across the various kind of hydraulic mechanism, hydraulic systems in the market. The major and the challenging hydraulic application is generally in the aviation field. Apart from that, the application of hydraulic is also very significant in various mechanical engineering areas, in the tooling side or in the plastic molding side and many other construction machinery and all. When we talk about the fluid systems, hydraulic and pneumatics are there, and they have their own significant role. Hydraulics basically it applies the fluid in form of liquid, whereas in case of pneumatic, as I told earlier, it is a compressed gas or mainly air. The major significant difference between hydraulic and pneumatic system is hydraulic system is using 700 can be used up to 700 bar pressure, whereas pneumatic is limited to 10 bars only. Hydraulic systems are closed loop systems. Basically, the same oil is getting circulated throughout the system. The system is a confined one, whereas in pneumatic system, after doing work, air is exhausted to the atmosphere. When you talk about hydraulic system, when leakage occurs, a sluggish response of the system is always noticed, whereby in the pneumatic system, as you know, the leakage doesn't affect much in the system. Another significant difference between two systems are the operation of the various valving element. Basically, these valves are used for various purposes. When we talk about the system and mechanisms either there is a linear motion or there is a rotary motion. To get this linear or rotary motions, what we do, we use different type of valving. And major valving are direction control valve, flow control valve, and pressure control valve. When we talk about a direction control valves are directing the actuator in forward or reverse position or in counter or clockwise rotation. When we talk about the flow control valves, it is related to the speed of the actuator. And when we talk about the pressure control valves, that is basically linked with the forces from the actuator. Other difference when we talk about hydraulic systems and pneumatic system is related to the pumps and the compressor use. Compressors are used to compress the gases, mainly in our case air. We need air, compressed air to run the actuator in pneumatic system, whereby we need a positive displacement pumps in case of the hydraulic system. Hydraulic system, basically, most of the hydraulic system in the industry are based on the synthetic oil. The lubrication is self-lubrication sort of thing. Whereas in case of pneumatic system, the dry air will ruin the operation of the system. So, a special arrangement based on FRA units are available in the pneumatic system, which take care of the lubrication of the system. As you can see over here, in the various construction machinery, you might have seen the hydraulics. Hydraulics is also used in a very large scale in the steel mills also. But the construction machinery hydraulics, they are using oil as a media to transfer the power and forces from one point to another. Whereas in case of the steel mills, because steel mills, you are handling the large temperature, and if you use the synthetic oil, the flash point of the synthetic oil will reach immediately and there may be a flashover and will finally go with the accident in the steel mill. So in case of steel mill, water glycol based hydraulics is used for the safety reasons. When you talk about the machine tools, machine tool hydraulics is also based on the oil hydraulics. Injection molding machine in the plastic industry is a very popular example of the hydraulic systems which do very complex operations. And as you know, right from the very first primitive press of Mr. Brahmas in year 1800, today's numerically controlled presses are very, very advanced, but the basic principle remains same. The another thing what you have generally seen in or generally came across in your day-to-day life, that is hydraulics in automotive systems. You always have heard about the power steering in the cars. How this power steering works? This power steering works with the help of the hydraulic. Because when you turn your steering wheel, you are basically operating some valving element which require very low forces, which you are providing by manual operation. And finally, the power operation will be taken care by the hydraulic system. The same is the case for the hydraulic braking system in the automobile system. So by this example, you are now very much clear about the requirement of hydraulics. Hydraulic is required. Reason is you want to provide the large forces in a smaller distance. So that can be taken care by the hydraulics. So this is the basic advantage of hydraulic system. Whereby when you talk about the pneumatic systems are used for the low power applications because the pressure range in the pneumatic system compared to hydraulics, as we have seen the comparison in the previous slide, hydraulic systems can be defined up to 700 bar, whereas the pneumatic systems are up to 10 bar pressure. And 10 bar pressure is most sufficient in case of the most of the robotic applications where we are targeting the replacement of a human in few of the operations in the industry as well as in the hazardous area. Here you can see an example of robotic arm which can hold a very small piece with very effective nature. And here you can see the cylinders. You can see the cursor over there and the piping connected with the system. When we apply pressure, the pneumatic cylinder will actuate it and the linkage it connected with it will work to hold or release the article using this pneumatic arm. And that can be again further integrated for the entire human body sort of thing. A very simple example which we always came across, probably our elders are coming across, that is the measurement of the blood pressure. Blood basically it's a fluid and it can be treated as a hydraulic system, and this hydraulic system we are verifying using a pressure monitoring device. The cup is generally wrapped around the arm and hand pump is utilized to pressurize that cup. And based on that, we are actually slowing down the blood flow till it and we can verify the pumping of the heart. So as you know that there are various things in the application of hydraulics in the day-to-day life or in the industry and all. But we need to understand how that works. So let us start with the very significant principle of hydraulics, which are very common and very simple. So here we can go with the basic principle of hydraulic system. Let us understand what is the hydraulic system. As you all are aware that the hydraulic system is basically using the pressurized fluid to transmit power between the places. Now, when we talk about the hydraulic system to transmit the powers, is it not possible with the electrical system? Yes, definitely it is possible with the electrical system, and similar flexibility like hydraulic system we are getting with the electrical system. But the transmission of power in a very large scale for a shorter distance in electrical system is a limited one. But in case of hydraulic system, we can handle the large forces compared to the electrical system, and effectively when you talk about the hydraulic system. Here is a very simple example in an amusement ride. This ride you might have seen this ride operated by a man also. Very small amusement ride is generally available in the village side and all. And a person is rotating this slide. So that is one way of providing power to rotate this slide. What are the other ways? Definitely the things will come in our mind is electrical motor. When we talk about the electrical motor is induction motor. They are basically fixed speed motors. And when you talk about the fixed speed motor, the motor will rotate at 1440 RPM. Let us see what will happen when we connect this particular very conventional power generating device, either it's electrical motor or internal combustion engine or a gas turbine or anything else, alternative sources. Out of that, if we choose the electrical motor as a source of power and we connect it to the amusement ride, because it is a fixed speed motor, the rotation is so high the amusement ride will not serve the purpose for which it is meant. It may create an accident. So what we have to do? We have to reduce the speed. So to reduce the speed, what we need? We need some mechanism. We need some gearing. So electrical motor is coupled with some set of gears that will be finally converted with a belt drive or some other drives, fluid coupling, and finally to the amusement ride. By doing such big mechanical power setup, we are now able to control the speed of our final amusement ride. In our case, we can say it's an actuator, so that this actuator can run at a reasonable speed where the children can take advantage of the power and can enjoy the ride. Instead, if we use hydraulic system, what we need, the hydraulic pump is connected to the motor, and the pump is the output of the pump is finally connected to a hydraulic motor. So you are getting a pressurized fluid from the pump, and this pressurized fluid we are connecting to the hydraulic motor. So, as I told you earlier, when I am using an electrical motor is running at a fixed speed. In this case also, my electrical motor will run at a very fixed speed. Meaning is that the connected pump will deliver a fixed speed for fluid to the system. So there is nothing is changed over here. My ride will rotate at the same speed what was in the case of the electrical motor. How my hydraulic system will help me out? If I drain some of the fluid back to the tank and allow a limited amount of fluid to the hydraulic motor, I can control the speed of motor without doing any gearing or any mechanisms in between, and I can effectively control the speed of my amusement ride. I can do stop operation by not providing any fluid to the motor. I can start operation by creating a flow to the actuator. I can change the direction of the amusement ride from forward to the reverse. I can speed up the ride at a very fixed speed, or I can accelerate the ride the way I want. That is possible with the hydraulic. Let us take some other example of the similar nature. You can use the hydraulic system for the elevator application also. What happens when elevator approaches to a next level? You need the acceleration. When it approach the next level, you need a fixed velocity traveling. And finally, when it will reach to the next level, it should be decelerated, and finally it will stop. So this is what we are doing with electrical things also. And here in this case, we are doing with the hydraulic system also. This is an example of a non-hydraulic type of excavator. We are connecting the excavator with mechanisms. We have a rope and pulley mechanism to move the bucket. But when we talk about hydraulic system, it is very simple. No ropes, no pulleys, nothing is required. By simple operation of a control valve, we can operate our excavator. See here, I have a cylinder over here, which is now extended, and this linked arm is towards right. When I operate this cylinder to retract back, this linked arm will go in the left side direction. Let us see how it operates. This is a pressurized fluid I have applied, and the link arm is in the right hand direction. Now I change the direction. You can see the red color fluid. I have changed the direction, and blue color fluid, which is the exhaust fluid over here. And you can see the linkage has got the operation. Let us see once again. It is in the right hand direction, and it is in the forward direction. So just my changing the direction of the fluid flow to the actuator, I can get the change done the way I want. Another one. So this is how hydraulic system we can take that. Now transmitting of moment. How the movement are transmitted? You can see very simple closed loop system over here. A piston is added to a cylinder and another piston is added to a cylinder. When I provide some force over here, this piston will start moving down. This fluid will start going to the another part of the system in the next cylinder and will lift this piston up. As you can see over here, when I am pushing this down, the fluid will start moving and immediately it will lifting up the another piston. Irrespective of the connecting detail, we can connect it by flexible hoses and we can provide the forces and we can get the transmission in the another cylinder. So when we create such type of system, the first cylinder is known as a pump, whereby the second one is known as an actuator. Actuator are, as I told earlier also, they are of two types, either linear actuator or rotary actuator. When we talk about the linear actuators are our cylinders. So cylinders are responsible for a linear movement. So wherever we need the linear movement, we will use cylinders. Wherever we need the rotary movement, we will use motors. So motor can rotate either in a forward direction or counterclockwise direction or in the clockwise direction. The same way our cylinder can operate in the forward direction or otherwise in the reverse direction. Let us see once again, when we apply the pressure force, the piston will push the fluid within the confined system. This fluid will be pushed in such a way the actuator will move in the another way. Now some load is put on the actuator and I am applying some force at the pump side. This load will be lifted up and you can monitor here a pressure in this. Because I have applied some force, some load on the actuator side, the flow of the fluid is restricted. When the flow of fluid is restricted, meaning is that the flow is restricted and pressure is built up. As you can see in the previous slide, no flow is restricted, no pressure is built up. But when flow is restricted, pressure will build up. So very first fundamental thing now we have understood that the pressure is not generated by pump. Pump is responsible for creating flow, but pressure is generated due to restriction or resistance to the flow. That is what one has to understand. Sometimes in the field, people are telling when you stand in front of the pump, you will get the tremendous pressure. No, that is not the case. When the flow is not restricted, no pressure is built up. But the moment you start restricting the flow, the pressure will be built up. This is what you might have observed in the ordinary garden pump. When you put your hand in front of the nozzle, you will observe some resistance to the flow, and that is what the body we we are understanding that the fluid which is coming out from the tubing is pressurized. But in the case of the garden pump, it is a centrifugal nature of pump. So that is considered as a non-positive displacement pump. But here, mind well, this is a positive displacement pump. Meaning is that once a fluid will enter into the chamber of the pump, the same fluid should go out from the pump. It cannot go back to the inlet side. That is why it can generate the tremendous pressure when flow is restricted. This is a very fundamental thing. When we talk about hydraulic system, we should understand that. Hydraulic system As far as the industrial hydraulics is concerned, it is the system should be confined, and the pump used in the industrial hydraulic system should be positive displacement type of pump only. Non-positive displacement pump like a propeller pump, which is used on the ships, and centrifugal pump, which are used for our day-to-day water pumping applications, are not sufficient to generate the required pressure in the industrial hydraulic system. So one should very much clear on that part. When we talk about the pump in a hydraulic system of industrial nature, the pumps are positive displacement pump. And which are the positive displacement pump basically available in the industry? There are three varieties of pump: gear pump, van pump, and piston pump. There are sub-clauses of these pumps also that we will discuss if time permits. But for this discussion, let us understand when we talk about the positive displacement pump in an industrial hydraulic scenario, they are gear pump, van pump, and piston pump. So pressure is defined as, we start learning about pressure from our very primary schools days. We know the pressure well from those days, and the pressure is, once again, let us revive our older things. Pressure is force per unit area, and that is defined as a pressure. Pressure is force per unit area. And if we rearrange the equation, the force is equal to pressure into area. Suppose we know the pressure in the system and we are applying that pressure to a defined area. In case, let us take example of a cylinder. You know the piston diameter, and based on the piston diameter, you are able to calculate the area of the piston. And if this area is subjected to a defined pressure, you will get the output force of that much newtons. So let us take an example. Suppose we have 100 Newton per mm square pressure available, and the area of our piston is, say, 100. How much Newton forces we are getting out? 100 Newton meter square into 100 meters mm square, cancelling out mm square. It is 100 into 100, that equal to 10,000 Newton. So while applying a very pressure on a smaller area, we are going to get the larger forces. But when we apply the forces on larger area, the pressure will be, the force outcome is less. Let us understand that. Excuse me. Here, I am holding a 1 kg force, 1 kg mass on my palm. Because my palm has got a sufficient area, the pressure exerted on my palm is low pressure, can be considered as a low pressure. If I reverse, I will slightly change the situation like this. The area have reduced to a very small, a pinpoint area, and I am putting the same force on that area. I can exert a very high pressure which may not be tolerable pressure. So now you understood what is the significance of area when we talk about the pressure. And this simple physics will help us to build the very, very useful industrial machines or aviation equipment or robotic things or any kind of automations in our real world. Let us take this example. Now, you just notice this, the area, the dimension of this piston and dimension of this piston, both are equal. So when I apply some force over here, this will start moving up. If I apply some load over here, the pressure will build up, as you can see over here. So this part is known as a pump and this part is known as an actuator. Let us see. When I put 1,000 kg load, you might have seen in some of the service station nearby you, a piston is, a ram is coming out of that, and people are lifting the car, and then they do some servicing on that, and after completing the operation, they lower down the car, and one can take away the car. To lift this big car, what we need to apply some force on the pump side so that it can support the 1,000 kg load on the actuator side. Let us see what happened. The area of this piston is say 10 centimeters square. As you know the formula, pressure P is equal to force divided by area. Force we know the area. The force of 1,000 kg, because force, why this 1,000 kg I am taking as a force? Force is equal to M into G. Mass is 1,000 kg, gravitational pull is G. So roughly it is 1,000 kg on 10 centimeter square area. Meaning is that to support this, you need 100 kg cm square pressure. So we want to generate 100 kg cm square pressure from here. Let us see how it can be done. As I told you earlier, I have 10 centimeter square piston area at the pump side and similar 10 cm square at the actuator side. Meaning is that if I will put 1,000 kg here, then only I am able to support the 1,000 kg here. Okay, because we know a very, very simple formula, P is equal to F by A from the definition of the pressure, because definition of pressure is pressure P is equal to force divided by unit area. And using that simple mathematical formula and very simple physics, now we are able to understand that to support a car in a service station, we require 1,000 kg force on a pump side piston area so that we can support a car on the actuator side. Then what is the fun of having the hydraulic system? If this is the case, there is no point in putting this all hydraulics over here. We can simply putting something over here and which can lift the car. The beauty of hydraulics is in this. When we use this simple physics, removing this area, changing this area on actuator and on the side of the pump, we can see the wonder of the hydraulics. Now this area is 10 centimeters square, this area is 100 centimeters square, and the pressure requirement, as you know, is 100 kg per cm square. Now that is reduced to 10 kg per cm square. Considering this force, considering this area, and considering the formula, P is equal to F by A, 100 divided by 10, and that becomes 10 kg per cm square. So doing so, we again need to calculate the requirement of the force at the pump side. So the formula P is equal to F by 1,000 divided by 100, that gives a 10 kg cm square pressure. So F is equal to P into A, because we know the pressure, as you can know over here, we know the area as what is seen over here, and now we are calculating this force F. So this force becomes 100 kg only. So by applying a 100 kg force at pump side, we are now able to support 1,000 kg, because we know the very fundamental law which is known as a Pascal law. Is there anybody can give the Pascal's law statement in the chat box? Is there any response? Okay. Because Pascal, as per the Pascal law, pressure in confined system, confined means which is closed from everywhere. Pressure in confined system is undiminished and is equal to is same. What it indicates? The pressure at all part of the system is same. Meaning is that now if we change the area, the supported force will be different. As you can see over here, from the right hand side or from the pump side, the pressure P is equal to F by A. You have a force F and area 10. The resultant pressure is 10 kg/cm square. Looking from the actuator side, the force is 100 kg, 1000 kg, sorry, and the area is 100 cm square. The resultant pressure is 10 kg/cm square. Now it will challenge the very fundamental law of conservation of energy. When we are applying only a small force and we can lift the very large forces, definitely this is a wonder. By doing some small thing and we are getting the larger forces at the another hand. So it is always a wonder, but this is not a wonder. The fundamental law of conservation of energy should be satisfied. Meaning is that when we push this cylinder at the pump side, having a very less area of the piston compared to the actuator side, you can see that the distance traveled is much higher than the distance raised at the another end. Once again, let us see. The distance travel is from here to here, whereas distance raised is from here to here only. Let us see. Have you noticed that? Let us see once again. Please notice distance travel at the pump side and distance travel at the actuator side. Okay? So whatever you have gained in the forces, you have lost in the transmission. This is how the energy conservation law is satisfied. Here you have traveled 10 cm down, whereby you are going 1 cm up. Because the total volume swept by you at the pump side is 10 centimeter square into 10 cm in the length. That is 100 cm cube. To swap the similar volume at the actuator side, because actuator has got the piston area of 100 cm square. So if you travel only 1 cm square, the total volume swept is 100 cm cube in the case of actuator. Let us see how the area into 10, that is the volume, 10 time area into 1 cm, that is the similar volume. So let us build a very simple hydraulic machine. What we will do, we will push this piston down at the pump side and we are able to raise the vehicle at the another side, as you can see over here. But moment we will lift this lever up, as you can see over here, the actuator will also come down. So how then again we are looking for some other solution. How we can do that? We are putting two simple check valves so that we can effectively use this hydraulic machine. Let us see how it happens. Now I am pushing this lever to the down. The oil which is underneath of this piston will lift this valve open and this check valve closed. So now my oil is traveling from pump to the actuator and lifting the car over here. Now when I will lift this lever up, because of the weight of this car, the oil will try to go back to the pump, but it cannot. Reason I have put a check valve over here. This check valve stop the any fluid flow from this side to the pump side. But at the same time, because this pressure is reduced due to atmospheric pressure and the self-weight of the fluid inside the reservoir, this check valve will get open. Now the fluid will start flowing from here to the pump. Again, when I push it, the actuated side, more oil will enter and the final work will be done as per desired requirement. And this will slowly push the car up. But what will happen when we want to lower the car? Because my check valve will not permit me to transfer the oil from actuator side back to the system. To do so, I need to put a valve which is known as a shut-off valve. When I will operate this shut-off valve, the pressure will be released and now this oil which is available at the actuator side slowly start moving to the reservoir. It cannot go back to the pump because the fundamental requirement of pump is once fluid enter in the inlet should go at the outlet only, and outlet fluid cannot go back to the actuator. So now it is preserved over here. The oil is now starting moving towards reservoir and the vehicle is now lowered down. And this is a very simple, same principle what Brahma has used in year 1719 for. You can see a reservoir over here. You can see the set of check valves over here. You can see a pump over here. And you can see a shut-off valve over here. It is rearranged in such a way it can take a pressing operation. So this is how a hydraulic press works. Got the point? Now, what we need is a speed of operation. As you can see over here, my pump is able to push 1 liter of oil from pump to actuator by raising this and lowering this lever one time. And that will raise my system 1 centimeter because I know the area of the actuator piston is 100 cm square. I am pushing 1 liter oil and which will travel say 10 centimeter down, meaning is that the total volume I am transferring which is enough to raise this actuator for 1 centimeter. So if I put a 3-stroke in a minute, I can push 3 liter oil in a minute and I can raise 3 centimeter in a minute. As you know, the formula of the velocity. Velocity is distance travel in a specified time. So previously the distance travel was less. Now the distance travel is high. Meaning is that hydraulic systems are capable of changing the speed of actuator. The more the fluid you push into the actuator in a definite time, more speed you will get. If you put less fluid in the definite time, you will get the less velocity of the actuator. So this is very convenient compared to the all other systems. The regular power transmission system, whether it is electrical or mechanical, to change the speed, what we are doing, suppose we want to change the speed of an ordinary regular fan. What we are doing in that case? We are changing the position of knob on the electrical regulator. We are getting step speed. Speed number 1, speed 2, speed 3, speed 4, and probably the full speed. The same is in case of the mechanical system. To change the speed, what we are doing? We are shifting the gears. And then we are raising the accelerator so that our speed in that particular gear setting can be achieved. But in hydraulic system, it is very, very simple. If you are allowing more fluid to enter, you will get more speed. If you are allowing a very small amount of fluid to the system, it is a low speed. Practically, you can achieve 0 to the full speed without loss of any forces in the system. But when you talk about the mechanical system, you have to lose on the force part. Because in higher speed, your power will be reduced. In the lower speed, your power will increase. This is what you have probably noticed when you are riding or riding a vehicle. In first gear, you can get maximum power, which is generated by internal combustion engine. But in the top gear, you can get the maximum speed compared to the power. So, what the idea is, the flow is basically responsible for the velocity. If you put a flow control valve in the system, your velocity of the actuator can be easily controlled. The more flow, more velocity, less flow, less velocity. And your pressure is responsible for the force in the system. Higher the pressure, higher the force you will get, and you can get the work done as per the requirement of the final application. Here in this case, instead of a small four-wheeler, we have put a heavy truck over here. But here we need, if the load is increased, we need more pressure for the similar area. So velocity is related to flow and pressure is related to forces. So when we talk about the machine, what are the requirements? Suppose we need a crusher for the old vehicles. We need a piston, we need a pump. A pump may be the hand-driven pump or pump may be the power-driven pump. So now in this case, I have a pump, reservoir and a cylinder. What I will do, I will operate my electrical motor, which in turn operates the hydraulic pump, and this hydraulic pump basically responsible to give the hydraulic energy output in form of flow of a hydraulic oil. This hydraulic oil is fed to the cylinder or my linear actuator. When it is fed to the linear actuator, because of the resistance to the fluid flow, pressure will start building up over here, and this will, because of this pressure, the forces are available, and this piston is a movable part, so this piston will start moving. In the final work of the crushing a vehicle, scrap vehicle can be done. So now what I want to push this piston back. If I will not do that, what will happen? The tremendous pressure will generate it, and finally I will end up with a failure of the system, as you can see in this case. So very fundamental requirement of any hydraulic system is to control the pressure generated within the confined or closed loop system. And for that purpose, we have a valve which is known as a pressure relief valve. We should keep in mind the relation of the area, relation of the pressure. So in this case, we have a spring-loaded valve which now here in this case act as a pressure relief valve. And we should also again keep this in mind, the fundamental law given by the Pascal. What Pascal told us? Pascal has defined that the pressure within a confined system is undiminished and equal. So pressure available exerted on this point or at this point or at the pump outlet is same in entire confined system, which is here shown as a red color lines. So when I operate my pump using the electrical motor, the system will start moving and my work will get done. But when this piston will stop moving at the end of the stroke, the fluid will get resistance and no further fluid flow is possible in the cylinder. So the fluid will now start moving towards relief valve. And this relief valve spring is rated in such a way after happening of this particular work done, this ball valve will unseated and the fluid will get transferring back to the system and can safely handle the entire hydraulic system. So this is how a pressure relief valve is functioning in an hydraulic system. Now another system is the direction, change of the direction of an actuator. As you can see over here, I have placed a valve which is known as a direction control valve. In this condition, the fluid is passing through it and going to the cylinder port, say port A over here, and the return fluid is coming back from port B to the tank, as you can see here as a blue color line. Suppose I shift this valve from one position to another because I want to change the direction of the actuator. This red color fluid now start flowing from through the direction control valve to the cylinder without changing any physical connection in the system, and this red color fluid is now at the port B, and slowly it will start moving the piston, and this piston will be moved towards left, as you can see over here. And whatever fluid was previously available, which is in red color, the moment you will shift the position of the direction control valve, the pressure will be relieved, as you can see over here, because this is now not confined system. It is going to the tank without any restriction. So this fluid will become a low pressure fluid. When you push it once again, the fluid will start moving from actuator to the reservoir tank through a direction control valve. And at the same time, fluid from the pump will start moving from the direction control valve to the actuator, as you can see in this diagram. So now you can understand how pressure relief valve can work and how a direction control valve can function. So there are two things you have understood. One is pressure relief valve, second one is direction control valve, and now the third important valve is a flow control valve. Because in previous cases we were not able to control the speed of actuator. By putting a flow control valve, we can now control the flow output the same way what we are doing our day-to-day life, like a ordinary water tap. What we are doing when we are opening a water tap more, we are getting a more flow from the water tap. When we are closing the water tap, we are getting the restricted water flow, and in case if we close it fully, there is a zero water flow and there is no actuator movement. As you can see in the next slide, here I have put a strainer also, and in the mobile hydraulic system, similar nature of things. I have internal combustion engine connected to the pump, my direction control valve, my pressure relief valve, and my actuator. When I push this lever in a mobile hydraulics, I am actually shifting a small spool inside the direction control valve, and now fluid flow from here will go to one end of the cylinder, as you can see over here, and cylinder will start moving. The remaining fluid from the another end now is getting drained to the back to the reservoir. When I push this lever now, once again, I am now shifting the position of the spool inside the valve body, and this pod is now connected via valve to the reservoir, and this pressurized fluid from this point end will get connected at the another pod. As you can see over here, it is working the way. When I will put this in the center, no pod A, B is not connected to this pod A and B, and it is central position. So this is a neutral position of valve. No operation will be possible in this condition. When we push it, it will move cylinder to forward. When push it in another direction, it will push the cylinder in the backward direction. So that is how a system is built up. But as you can see here, the symbolic, see here the sketches of the various valve that cannot be put in a schematic rigid pressure system or a hydraulic circuit. In that case, they are using the standard hydraulic symbol. As you can, in the first case, it was for the cylinder. This is for the direction control valve. There are four directions: direction 1, direction 2, direction 3, direction 1. So this is known as a 4x2 direction control valve. As you can see, is a flow restricted flow control valve symbol. Here you can see the symbol of a strainer. This is a symbol of a pressure relief valve, and this is a symbol of a hydraulic pump, and this is a symbol of hydraulic motor. And finally, that was the last one is a symbol of hydraulic reservoir. Now this is how a hydraulic system works. Do you have any question for that? You can ask me in the chat box, and I can.
Very good, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Snehal Trivedi here.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Sir, thanks a lot for such informative session, because I was with Facebook initially also.
Okay.
And actually we received in comment box this kind of comment that it is a very good and very nice webinar. Okay, because this is Facebook Live,
Yes.
getting directly, but I think has received some of the questions, so we will be sharing with you. But really,
Yeah, please, sir.
really, it has been appreciated by each and every who has attended this, and I will definitely share the number of attendees also at the end of the day. Okay.
Share my details with
so
them also. I have no problem. And my number you can share, my mail ID you can share with the students. If they require some literature or some notes or something on this topic, I can happy to share with all the student fraternity and even the faculties also.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot. Dakshay sir, over to you. You can raise the queries if you have received some.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Great pleasure. Because some of the students already asked me about the question, so I have 1 to 2 questions about this thing.
Okay, please.
So I can say that कि एक स्टूडेंट का सर क्वेश्चन था that what do pressure pump ratings mean? मतलब प्रेशर पंप जो रेटिंग
हाँ, प्रेशर पंप का रेटिंग बेसिकली उसकी विस्टैंडिंग कैपेसिटी के लिए है, क्योंकि पंप हमेशा फ्लो क्रिएट करता है। पंप का मूल कार्य है एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे फ्लूइड को ट्रांसफर करना, और प्रेशर, एज आई टोल्ड इन माय प्रेजेंटेशन आल्सो, प्रेशर इज रिलेटेड टू रिस्ट्रिक्शन टू फ्लो और रेजिस्टेंस टू फ्लो. But generally in the market, when we go to purchase a pump, we generally talk about the rating of a pressure and rating of a flow output. So that is the capacity of a pump. A pump can withstand that much pressure while handling the pressure in the entire hydraulic system. Generally it is in kg per cm square, Newton per meter square, or in the PSI or in the bar.
Okay. And sir, another question is which different types of valves which we are included in the hydraulic pump?
Hydraulic system basically. There are only three major types of valves available in any hydraulic system. Student needs to understand that they do not to go for the complex diagrams and other things. It is a very basic and very fundamental things. As I told in present, direction control valve, pressure control valve, and flow control valve. How it is utilized, that is very important. And there are various variants available in the direction control valve. It may be a 4x2 direction control valve, it may be a 4x2 electrically operated valve, it may be a 4x2 hydraulic operated valve, it may be pneumatic operated. So actuation method can vary, but fundamental valves are common. So if one is aware about how direction control works, it is very easy to understand all the direction control valve. Similar way, as I told, the flow control valve. Flow control valve, where it is placed, it is placed as a bleed up operation, it is placed as a meter in operation, or it can be placed as a meter out operation. These are the three basic configuration of the flow control methodology. So these three flow control methodology are as common as a very common water faucet what we are using at our day-to-day life. And the third one is the pressure relief valves or pressure control valves. If we use the output of the pressure relief valve in some other operations, that can be pressure control operations. It can be used as a sequence valve, or it can be used as a pressure control operations also, or a sequencing operation also. So this is how we can use pressure control. But fundamentally, if we talk about the hydraulic valves, they are three only: direction, flow, and pressure. That is the thing.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So, sir, that's it.
Thank you very much, Darshas Bhai, for your kind support, and thanks again to Snail sir. He's now left the meeting, but anyway, please convey my thanks to him also, and thanks to all my students and participants. I am very much thankful for patiently listening, and they are always welcome to CPET. As in when the time permits, they can meet me and they can see the facility at our CPET center. We are also helpful there to them for many other area in the machining or any for the exercising IP projects and anything else they really want to do with CPET. CPET is always open for one and all faculties and students of the Parle University. That is my message to all you. Please convey to one and all. Thank you very much.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It was
Thank
a
you,
very great webinar, because I got the messages in the chat section that such a very good webinar we conducted over here. So thank you so much. It's all about you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So now we can conclude our today's webinar. Okay?
Okay, fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay, I am now leaving the webinar. Can I leave now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Darshas Bhai, once again. Thank you all.
Sir, thank you so much.